Hello, and welcome back to 3D Printing Basics. This is episode number 16, and this episode is going to be all about organization. We are going to talk about how to organize print files on your computer, how to organize your printing supplies and documents in real life, and organizing other things like filament. Before we get into it, I would like to ask if you would please follow and rate this podcast 5 stars. If you remember from the last episode, I announced that at 55 star reviews, I'm going to be buying a Creality Ender 3. And at 100 5-star reviews, I'm going to be giving away a Sobel SV07 to one of my listeners. So if you could please rate this podcast 5 stars, we're getting really close to 55 star reviews. And I'm very excited to be doing a giveaway of a Sobel SV07.
ABC Wednesday.
Y'all complain all day. We want books. We want paper towels in the classroom. Bet you want raises too.
I'm still waiting on the paper towels.
Abbott Elementary returns with the new season.
We asked the district for more after-school programs. They gave us $50 for class pets instead.
Critics cheer. Abbott Elementary continues to be one of the funniest and most beloved shows on TV.
What y'all doing out there?
Taking bribes.
Proud of y'all.
Abbott Elementary. Season premiere Wednesday, 9:30, 8:30 Central on ABC and stream on Hulu.
All right, with that being said, let's get into it. The first thing I want to talk about is organizing print files. Files for 3D printing can stack up really fast and they can take up a lot of room on your computer. So I think it is important that we get to organizing these files so that they're not just all in your download section and you have to scroll forever to find something if you want to get something from, say, 6 months ago. In my opinion, there are 2 ways you could store print files, either by file type or by project. File type would mean sorting files by, say, STL files, SVG files, 3MF files, G-code files, so on and so forth. And in my opinion, it's not the most organized way to do it, but it's also not bad, and it's a good start for beginners who don't have many files to start with. So, for example, you would have a file on your computer that says, 3D printing files, maybe. And then in that folder, you would have separate folders for the STL, the SVG, so on and so forth. And that's how I started organizing my files, and it worked for me for a really long time. The reason I changed to this next one that I'm going to talk about is because I just got so many files. If I wanted to get something from maybe a year ago, I'd be scrolling in the STL files forever trying to find something from specifically a year ago, and that grew pretty annoying for me. That made me switch to this other way, which is to organize files by printing projects. So I'm going to give you an example. Let's say you want to 3D print in Apple. You go through the process, you find one on Thingiverse, you download that file, you drop it into the slicer, you slice it, you save that 3MF file, and so now you have 2 different files for essentially the same thing. And so what you would be doing if you were using this system was you would create a folder that says Apple, and under that you would put these 2 files into that folder. And this is the way that I currently organize my files, and I find this system works very, very well for me because it lets me really pinpoint projects super easy and find files quickly. The only negative that I can see is trying to get too nitpicky and too efficient, and then having files within files within files would make it hard to get to what you're looking for on occasion, but so far I haven't had that problem. So what I'm looking at now on my computer is my storing system. I have one file on my desktop that's called 3D printing files. And in that, I have a subsystem of folders. I have one for my product photos, one for custom jobs that I do for people, one for my standard Etsy products. I have a folder for documents. I have a folder for ideas and prototypes. And I have a file for stream prints that I do on TikTok. And inside all of these folders, I have exactly what these folders would suggest by their names. I have the Etsy products and the Etsy products folder. And this just allows me to have a really smooth way to get to whatever I'm looking for. If I'm looking to print an Etsy product, then I can just jump into the Etsy product folder and I could get to what I'm looking for really, really quickly. And all of these folders have subfolders in them. Like, for example, I'm hopping into the Etsy products folder. I have coasters, I have countries and state products, I have fridge magnets. So all of these folders have subfolders in them that just lets the organization get even better and lets me find the thing that I'm looking for even easier. Overall, I would say it's very, very important to organize your print files. And at the end of the day, I don't think it truly matters how you organize your print files as long as you find something that works well for you. Next, I want to talk about documents and file organizing in real life. Before we get into this, I would say that this is going to be a far more important topic if you are planning to turn 3D printing into a business. If not, then I wouldn't say this is that important for you. But I'm just going to go over the basics of real life 3D printing documents and file storing. So the things that I think are important to keep track of are going to be things like receipts and order tickets. So anytime you buy a roll of filament, maybe an accessory for your printer, or even a brand new 3D printer, save those receipts. Store them away somewhere safe. For me, I keep all my receipts in a 3D printed raffle box. I know, ironic. But if you live in the US and you decide to start a 3D printing business, all of that can be tax write-offs, and you have to have the receipts in order to take advantage of that. I think overall, like I said, it is important to keep track of the things that you buy, and the receipts are going to be important for that. But at the end of the day, as long as you're not turning it into a business, I don't think there's a whole lot of documents that you're going to have to keep track of, and a normal filing system that you have at home should be able to keep track of stuff pretty easily. The last thing that I want to talk about is organizing all of the supplies. As we know, the supplies in 3D printing can pile up even faster than the things you print. For me, all it takes is one email and boom, I suddenly have 30 rolls of filaments that I need to store somewhere. There's also Allen wrenches, grease, oil, spare parts, the list goes on and on and on. To start, I want to discuss filament storage. For me, I believe all filaments should be arranged by filament type, meaning PLA, PETG, TPU, and so on and so forth. I know there's other people who say color is more important, but for me, it's the type. Coming from someone who has accidentally used the wrong type of filament and ruined a print before, I really need to organize filaments by what type of filament it is. For my storage, I have 3 shelves. The bottom 2 shelves are all PLA, there's nothing else in there. And the top shelf left side is for PETG, and the right side is for TPU, ABS, nylon, and any other specialty rolls. It has really helped me be more efficient when I go looking for a roll of filament, and I think it's a really good system to follow for us beginners because I'm assuming for all of us, at least 80%, if not 90 to 95% of the filament we are going to have is going to be PLA. So it's a good idea to allocate a lot of your storage to PLA and just keep a small part for the specialty filaments that we're only going to be using from time to time. Next, I want to talk about accessories, tools, and spare parts. For me, what has worked really well is I got this cubby off Amazon. It has like 40 drawers. I'll put a link to it down in the description if you want to pick one up. But it has really, really helped consolidate everything in the accessories and anything else like that. Like I said, it has a ton of drawers. It holds everything. It holds the nozzles, hot ends, extruders, grease. And this cubby is just an absolute lifesaver. And like I said, it's really helped me consolidate everything into one place because before I just had drawers full of Allen wrenches, just random stuff. I had a drawer that had grease and nozzles in it and just didn't make any sense. But here I just needed a label maker and all of a sudden everything just has a home and it's all nice and in one spot, and I could just go to one place to get everything I need when I'm doing maintenance on a printer, and it's super, super helpful. So like I said, I'll put a link to that down in the description if you want to pick one up. Okay, the last thing I want to touch on is the 3D printed objects that you make, and I actually want to say that I won't be touching on that. All of the information I've suggested to you so far is merely an opinion. And I think for what you make, it is entirely up to you what you do with it, whether you make stuff for your family or you're making stuff to sell or you're just making stuff to have. I think it's just really up to you what you do with it. And that's something that I don't think I can provide a really good example for, partly because I'm not too great at organizing the stuff that I print. And also, I just think that it's far too niche of a thing for me to offer 1 or 2 solutions to something that has such a wide range of solutions. All right, that does it for today's episode. Please like and follow this podcast. Rate it 5 stars. Remember, at 100 5-star reviews, which we are close to, I'm going to be giving away a Sobel SVO7. Please be on the lookout for that. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll talk to you next time.